Over the last several years, the Lake Conference has defined grit, toughness, and talent when it comes to girls basketball. Tonight is no exception, as we have one of the top and classic rivalries, not only in the Lake, but in Section 6-4A. The undefeated Hopkins Royals at 12-0, the defending Class 4A state champions, take on the Wayzata Trojans. Wayzata 12-1. Anytime these two meet, a fireworks display is sure to follow. Hello everyone, I'm Mike Peden, he's Alex Nagel, and Alex, strike up the band. Hopkins Wayzata, quite the rivalry. Hopkins has dominated that rivalry over the last several years, but anytime these two teams meet, it is always a battle.
You know, it really is a great rivalry, Mike, and I've been lucky enough to catch a few of them. You know, I think when you look at it from a Hopkins perspective, being defending state champions, being ranked number one, being undefeated, you're always going to wear that proverbial target on your back. And that's always added pressure for Hopkins, I think. You have to come in prepared. You have to be ready. You have to be mentally focused. And I think that's a big challenge for Hopkins night in and night out.
That being said, Hopkins, cool under pressure. That might be an understatement. Their last loss was last season against Sidwell Friends. They've run the table. They haven't had a close win per se. They've taken care of all of their opponents thus far. And a few reasons for that are their big three, Nunu Agara, Taylor Woodson, and Liv McGill.
I tell you what, they're just fabulous players. And of course, one of the big reasons that they were able to win state last year. With that trio, you can do a lot of big things.
And Kelly Boyle had a coming out of sorts on Saturday, hitting 9 3-pointers in the win over Roseville. She never had a 20-point game before in her life. She finished with a career-high 27. For Wayzata, they've always been in the shadow of Hopkins because they shared the same section. But they're getting it done by committee this year after prodigies like Mara Braun graduated. Mara now doing big things in Minnesota. Wayzata coming off a huge win over St. Michael Albertville. That's the team with South Carolina commit Tessa Johnson on it. Wayzata has a pair of D1 commits themselves, and Shannon Fornshell, who's going to Drake, and Abby Kurzinski, who's going to North Dakota State. But I talked to Julie Stewart beforehand, Alex. She praises the focus of Wayzata and their ability to handle adversity. If they make a mistake, they don't let it snowball. That will have to be working at full capacity to get an upset over Hopkins tonight.
Well, I think that's vitally important, as you pointed out, Mike. And, you know, like you said, this Wayzata team is really interesting. There's no one star that stands out above the others. It's really done by committee, as you point out. And I think that big win that they were able to snag here this last Friday night against that STMA team will give them a big shot of confidence on the arm coming into this contest tonight.
It certainly will. The Lake Conference, a great way to prepare for postseason play. We'll have round one of the Wayzata Hopkins Lake Conference rivalry when we return. You're watching high school girls basketball. Twin Cities Sports Broadcasting and a whole lot more. That's what you get from TSB Television. We provide long-lasting digital coverage of your favorite athletes from the preps to the pros. Dazzling moves. Holloman, good if it goes. Yes! Game winners. James, she's in trouble. Finds James, tough shot. It goes in. And everything in between. Before we let you go, do you want to say hi to anybody?
Oh, I don't know. That put me on the spot there.
If you want to connect with our audience, visit us at patreon.com/TSB Television or sponsor our coverage through PayPal and Cash App. Thank you for watching. Welcome back to the Royals Athletic Center. Used to be the Lindbergh Center. They've changed the name since then, but one thing that hasn't changed is the level of talent that will take place here in Minnetonka as the starters are being introduced. Hopkins coming off a big win over Roseville, but that seems to be the story, Alex. Every win is a big one. They had the closest margin of victory they had this season was 10 points against Allen Catholic. That was the first game without Taylor Woodson, which he sprained her ankle.
Yeah, right.
She returned in January and hasn't lost a beat. And for Wayzata, they had a loss to Chaska earlier this season. And then Chaska lost 27 to St. Michael Albertville. Wayzata just beat STMA, so if you go by that logic, Wayzata certainly on the upswing. A win against Hopkins would take them even higher.
You know, Mike, it's funny, 5 years ago I was right here in this same venue when Wayzata took on Hopkins, and a young freshman for the Trojans named Mara Braun went off, and can't remember how many three-pointers she sank in that first half, but she had Wayzata in the lead, and everybody thought the Trojans were going to pull off a huge upset. And then, of course, Paige Beckers came to the rescue for Hopkins.
Here are the starters for Wayzata. Excuse me. It's Shannon Fornshell, number 4. Kate Amelot, number 5. Sophie Hawkinson, number 12. Brynn Senden, number 25. And Abby Krasinski, number 32. Hopkins will start Micaiah Copeland, number 0. Kelly Boyle, number 2. Taylor Woodson, number 20. Liv McGill, number 23. Nunu Agara, number 24. You know the story. Agara going to Stanford. Woodson going to Michigan. Kelly Boyle, we'll see how she follows up after a big effort against Roseville. She was always known for her three-point shooting, but she had never scored more than 13 in a game until Saturday. The law of averages might suggest Boyle could run into some trouble tonight from three-point range, but if any of that stroke from Saturday carries over, that could boost Hopkins pretty quickly.
Yeah.
This is the first of 2 meetings. Of course, not only is this a conference rivalry, but depending on how the regular season series goes, that will influence who gets number 1. And in Section 6, it's the high seed that hosts.
Yeah.
So there's a lot at stake. That's
Obviously.
why this is one of the top rivalries year in and year out.
I tell you, that Section 6 is just murderous when you take a look at it.
It is up at the top. I would argue that Section 2 is the toughest overall, but in Section 6, everyone knows you got to get through these 2.
Yep.
Wayzata wearing the white, Hopkins wearing the blue. We're underway at the RAC, Royals Athletic Center. There's Kelly Boyle. Taylor Woodson, again, rejoined the team in January after a sprained ankle, sidelined her for a while. The injury was a little less serious than the absence would suggest, but Tara Starks didn't feel any need to rush Taylor Woodson back, and the December schedule for the Royals wasn't that demanding. Hopkins, though, they're going to run out of time. Shot clock violation. Remember, Alex, the Lake Conference elected to implement the shot clock this season for conference games, and Hopkins just got burned by it.
And I think that's a tremendous idea by the Lake Conference. If you're going to have to get used to that.
Right, if you don't get used to it this year, you're going to have to get used to it next season. But the Royals do force a turnover right away. So effectively, they get a fresh 35. And they're not going to waste that much time this time around, but the jumper from Woodson was a little long. Nobody from Wayzata averaging more than 12.5 points per game. And Julie Stewart said, that's the strength of our team.
Oh.
As Kate Amelot gets the scoop off the window, you can't key in on any one person.
I tell you what, no fear by Amelot on that one.
Amelot averaging 6.6 a game. Hopkins gets through. Agara comes up short. And one of the benefits...
Too high.
That was too high. One of the hidden benefits of having a shot clock for these conference games, Alex.
I like the idea,
I was
Mike.
going to say,
I really do.
No, one of the benefits for officials, they don't have to do a 10 count. They can just look at the shot clock.
Right.
If it goes to 25 and they're not across the timeline, well, a pretty easy call to make. McGill turns over the ball. Alex, Hopkins a little sluggish to start this game. And Wayzata scores off the window again. That's Sophie Hawkinson pulling a juke from the corner and going baseline.
I tell you what, Sadie Hawkinson, again, going
Sadie
into
Hawkinson? Sophie, you mean? Charge is called on Woodson.
Sophie Hawkinson, I mean.
Amelot. Alex, I suspect that win over St. Michael Abreville has fueled the confidence of this Wayzata team. Even though it's early, I think the energy they got from that big win is carrying over. Here's a three for the Trojans. Not there. High Karam. Pinballs to Brynn Senden. And a long bomb falls for Sophie Hawkinson.
Good. Sophie Hawkinson again.
And Sophie Hawkinson, no stranger to high-level play. Last year, she was on the North Tartan 15U AAU team, a group that had Linnell Wright from Minnetonka, Bree Bowman from Prior Lake, and Madden Greenway, who classed up a year.
Yeah.
Tori Schlegel as well from Eden Prairie. So she's used to mixing it up with high-level athletes. Alex, Wayzata up 7-0. And they break up the high-low play.
Well, I tell you what.
The
Trojans are really causing problems for Hopkins on the defensive end. That's what's getting my attention right now.
And Hopkins, they're not used to trailing
at
any point. Liv McGill looking to get the Royals on the board. No good. Winning the battle for the rebound was Micaiah Copeland. And the Royals will get another chance. Woodson sinks the jumper. Alex, that is her money spot, those mid-range J's. That's Abby Krasinski. The step-back jumper, offline. Here comes McGill to Copeland. Woodson found a cutting McGill, but a foul. 7-2 the score. Of course, Alex, if this match alone wasn't big enough for Hopkins, it's a prologue to their first meeting with Minnetonka on Friday. I did talk to Liv McGill before the game, and she said, right, we're focused on tonight, as they should be, but Friday's going to be surreal. That will be a traveling call. Shannon Fornshell may have shoveled her feet.
Would have been a big score for Wayzata had that counted.
Here's Kelly Boyle. Nunu Agara can't clean it up. Agara having a tough go of it down low, and
ooh.
She and Krasinski almost get into some extracurricular there. I've seen this Hopkins team before, Alex. On the floor, they are beasts, and they are unapologetic about their strengths. Away from it, they're more mild-mannered, but I think Agara and that slow start, emotions might be getting to Hopkins a bit. I'm not suggesting tempers are overflowing, but when you're out there, Alex, and things aren't going your way, it's frustrating.
Believe me, as a tennis player, I know all about that.
As a tennis player, and this year as a Rams fan, right? They still have their Super Bowl, though.
Yes.
My team is still looking for one, and we won't get it this year. We'll have to try again next year. Wayzata looking for the entry feed to Jessica Oberlander. Hopkins broke it up. McGill, the kick out. Copeland, 3-ball. Nothing there. And a foul is called on Copeland as Senden went on the attack.
You know, I tell you, I really like Wayzata's willingness to take the ball into traffic, try and draw fouls as they did just there.
Remember, these two are highly familiar with each other, and Wayzata, I don't think they're scared of Hopkins.
No. Senden just 5'6", the senior
and you can't
at the line.
She is going to Minnesota as a preferred walk-on. And Agara will take a breather.
Grace Weber, senior reserve forward, just stepped in, or guard.
She will go to Minnesota on a track and field scholarship. Boyle can't hit the three. And it's
not a lot
Wayzata
right
ball.
going for Hopkins right now.
Well, Alex, you've mentioned this more than once. Sometimes you have to weather that first bout of adversity. Right now, it's Hopkins enduring it here. They trail 8-2, and they've only hit one field goal, as the score might suggest. Oberlander flips it in. Alex, remember that story you shared from 5 years ago when Wayzata got off to that hot start?
Yeah.
I think we're seeing a similar beginning
I
here.
tell you, the way this one is unfolding right now is eerily similar to that.
But as you said, Paige Beckers came to the rescue for Hopkins in that meeting. That will be a traveling call. Woodson used up the dribble. I believe the following season, Alex, Wayzata did get a victory over Hopkins at their place.
Yeah.
Michael Schumacher was the head coach at the time, but Julie Stewart was part of his staff. So a lot of familiarity with Wayzata. And, of course, with Hopkins, Tara Starks, even though it's only her third season, did a lot of groundwork with these players through her AAU duties and others. And right now it's Wayzata putting in work. Abby Krasinski on the attack. Woodson, the spin move, and she walks again. 12-10 left in the first half. And Eternity, Wayzata up 12-2. Of course, nobody's won it yet, but it's the Trojans who have all the momentum.
They've certainly looked sharper, Mike, on both ends of the floor.
Grace Weber almost lost her footing. Hopkins gets the rebound. We've got a tumble and a tie-up. Wayzata with the arrow. All the momentum, and I think it's showing. I think Wayzata senses that.
Yeah, and not to say I told you so, but I alluded at the top. You know, when you're the defending state champs, you have the #1 ranking, you have all these lofty accolades. You know, every contest you win, you have to be ready. You have to be prepared because you're wearing that proverbial target on your back. Everybody is gunning for you.
Well, and you and I, we've seen some close calls before. A few years ago, Hopkins, St. Michael, Abbeville, STMA was up until late. And that's a traveling call on Wayzata. And that game had a freshman, Tessa Johnson, who was playing well, Mackenzie Kramer. But toward the end, I believe Maya Naji stepped it up late. What a great player she was.
Oh, boy.
Liv McGill. Elbow J, no good. Jazzy Dupree, who's going to Oakland, gets the rebound. Boyle fires a long, high arcing two, I should say, not long. And another offensive rebound for the Royals. Tatum Woodson's pass broken up.
I tell you, the defensive tenacity of Wayzata right now is just eye-opening, Mike. They mean business tonight. They really do.
High-low. Jazzy Dupree cut off number 13, Ella Goodnature. And Tatum Woodson, she missed the layup. Agara, no, finally cleans it up. And for Hopkins, seeing a bucket go in, that might help them here. We have a timeout, 10:56 to go.
One thing that you could just see off of that last possession by the Royals, Mike, is how important those second and third chance points are going to be in this contest. You know, that if you're Wayzata, that's one thing you absolutely have to limit.
And Nunu Agara, an excellent performer when it comes to interior presence.
Yep.
There is something I did want to address with this timeout as a clarification of sorts. You weren't here, Alex, but on Saturday I covered the game that Hopkins had with Roseville for NSPM. Hopkins won in a runaway, and LaToya Turk and I, we like to have conversations as you and I do. There were at least a couple of viewers who thought our remarks suggested that we were throwing shade at Tara Starks and her accolades, and I want to apologize to anyone who thought we were going in that direction. We certainly weren't. It was one of those situations where sometimes you know what you want to say, but it doesn't come out the right way.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to clear that up. No controversy, no scandal, but I wanted to acknowledge that because you know this, Alex. I've done this for 17 years. I root for everybody, and I always like sharing stories from Hopkins all the way down. That's going to be a traveling call on Wayzata. Now, it's just a reminder that even I'm not perfect. I've done this for a long time, but I'm not invincible, and I'm not above receiving feedback. So I appreciate those who let me know, because communication is the key to understanding. Without that, we can't learn, we can't grow. 10:30 left in the first half. Wayzata leads 12-4. Hopkins trying to recapture some of that momentum. Agara draws the foul.
Boy.
Agara is one of those all-around threats, Alex.
Yeah.
She can knock down threes. She has acceleration. She's got all the tools, and they will serve quite useful next year when she dons the Cardinal red at Stanford.
I just hope she takes it easy on my UCLA Bruins.
Well, in a couple of years, that won't be a problem anymore, because UCLA
That's
is
right.
coming over to the Big Ten.
That's right. I know. I keep forgetting that.
And USC.
Yeah, our crosstown rival.
Agara, though, what a tremendous growth she has undertaken at Hopkins. Does a lot of training with Therese Van Pelt. And the player she has become is a joy to watch. That's going to be a foul on Jazzy Dupree after she bumps Kate Amelot. Spin move, no finish for Shannon Fornshell. Alex, this is the opportunity for Hopkins to work their way back. Tatum Woodson's drive broken up by Amelot. Agara, the turnaround, swish.
Okay, just such a great touch.
Alex, I think Hopkins has moved beyond those early struggles. They put the press on Wayzata. 3 on the way, too strong. Boyle to Woodson. That's her younger sister Tatum. Nothing there. Wayzata with the rebound. They've got numbers
here.
They wanted the 3. Instead, they'll pull up from short range, and it's Brynn Senden who scores. 9 minutes to go in the first half, 14-8. Woodson's 15-footer goes off the back iron. And leaping up for the rebound was Amelot. Fornshell. They swing it around. Amelot for 3. Not that time. Loose ball. Fornshell wins it. Senden in the high post. Tries to drive on Dupree and scores.
I tell you what, Brynn Senden has impressed her in this first half.
Senden with a degree of improvisation. And Wayzata rebuilds their lead to 8, 16-8. Woodson comes up short. Wayzata going outlet, but the pass is too long. Agara and Liv McGill. Liv, of course, what a journey she's had. Started her varsity career at Park Center as an 8th grader.
Well. Yep.
Her teammate was Adalia McKenzie, at least one of them was.
Yep.
And then she moved over to Hopkins. An offensive foul on McGill. Brynn Senden. Alex, I don't want to say she was set, but I think McGill might have bumped a little too hard, and that's why she got tagged.
She used that arm just enough to garner the call.
As you know, it's not just a player being set or a defender. Right. It's how much forearm, how much elbow does the offensive player give you. But Wayzata's defense clamping down. They break the press again. Sophie Hawkinson with the layup. 18-8, Alex. What is going on?
Well, I tell you what, Wayzata's just playing smart basketball right now on both ends of the floor, Mike.
A foul on the Trojans. McGill draws the foul. Alex, I think on the part of McGill there, she was determined to get something to happen, and given the flow of this game so far, you can see that assertiveness or that urgency is what I'm looking for. That's the word I wanted to use. Not desperate, not desperation, urgency. I think Hopkins knows they've been in a funk, and they are looking to hustle their way out of it. But Liv McGill, she is one of those point guards who makes everyone around her better, whether it's at Hopkins or on those Metro Stars AAU teams. Her role model, Diana Taurasi. Wayzata getting hounded. They get out of it, though. Here comes Hawkinson. The three bounces out. And Nunu Agara leaps up for the rebound. Here's McGill. The skip. Copeland backs off. McGill left alone. 3 too strong. Copeland with the shovel pass to Agara.
Yeah, those are those second chance points that Wayzata has to limit.
And Liv McGill snuck in there. She has a lot of speed and defensive tenacity of her own. Another chance for Hopkins to regain momentum. This could help, but the three is no good. Ooh, that's tough. Alex, you know how much I hate that double whammy where you come away with no points on a possession, then foul 80 feet away from the basket. It happens, of course.
It happens, of course. And unfortunately for Hopkins now, that's 2 fouls on Taylor Woodson. And not surprisingly, she's going to sit for a spell there on the bench.
And Tara Starks
not taking any
imploring
chances.
Her team to get their act together, I think. Something along that line. Wayzata, the kick out. Nobody hitting their threes at the moment, but that can always change. Here's London Harris, the sophomore. That almost went in. Grace Weber gets the rebound, and I've been saying this a lot. We have another critical juncture in this game with 5:22 left in the first half. Weber to Oberlander. Can't penetrate the interior. Hawkinson through the lane and in.
I love that Sophie Hawkinson. Great player, great first step.
McGill blocked. She does recover it though, and the shot clock reset. The shot clock reset.
I noticed that.
It shouldn't have, but it won't matter because Wayzata picks off the pass.
And the Trojans again with numbers.
3 on the way. That would have been a big momentum bucket for the Trojans. Now the Royals could push. McGill changing speeds, turnaround, yes. (20-14). London Harris trying to draw the foul there. Weber, the runner, got it.
Nice move by the reserve senior Weber, using her slender frame to ride into traffic and getting that score.
She will be a middle distance runner for the Gophers next year. Harris, that was close. There. But McGill maintains it, and then she's poked from behind.
You know, Mike, what I'm seeing right now is just more hustle, more desire by this Wayzata Trojan team.
And you have to remember, Alex, for Hopkins, they haven't faced an opponent of this caliber all season. That's not uncommon, whether it's Brian Cosgriff or Tara Starks, this team accustomed to runaway wins. And so when another team gets on a start like this, you know this, Alex, though.
Right.
Kevin Anderson says this much. When you shoot well, you look good.
Yep.
When you don't shoot well, you can run into trouble.
Yep. Well, and, you know, like our good friend, the late Tony Geard, told me one time, they just wanted more. And right in this case, I'm referring to Wayzata, because they're just showing on both ends of the floor with their hustle, going for those loose balls, and that's creating opportunities on the other end of the floor for them.
So I thought I saw a signal okay to the shot clock because of the jump ball. The officials went over to the scores table to reset the clock to 12 seconds, but that won't matter because Tatum Woodson is fouled, and she'll go to the line. Tatum Woodson, the sophomore, played on the Minnesota Stars AAU team with Sam Wills and Kendall McGee, a couple of big names in the 2025 class. She's averaging 4.8 points per game. And I'm used to saying this for a lot of Hopkins opponents, Alex, but for the Royals, 6 of 6 in the free throw line, they're doing their part. They're hanging with Wayzata, and that could prove helpful if they go on one of those signature runs. That will also help.
Well, there's that pressure defense.
And then Wayzata answers back with the block.
Well, great response, too.
Shannon Fornshell with the rejection. Oberlander. Dead ball rebound to the Trojans. At the start of the show, we noted how the Lake Conference is the toughest of them all. The last few years, you have 5 teams who are legitimate contenders. And every time they face off, it shows. 5-second call on Kate Amelot. Alex,
Julie Stewart wants an
like
explanation on that one.
It's looking like Hopkins wants this just as much as Wayzata does now.
Julie
Not that they didn't.
Yeah, Julie Stewart's looking for an explanation on that.
Not that Hopkins didn't want this game, but slowly but surely it looks like they've found ways to influence the game in their favor. And here are some of the young guns out there. Irma Walker. Boyle kicks it out to Walker. Long two. Doesn't fall. Nobody on Copeland. So a fresh 35 for the Royals. Copeland. High-low to Walker. Too much traffic. Jazzy Dupree. Three is off the back iron. Oberlander in trouble. Remember, Wayzata's got to get it across. They do.
Yeah, she took an extra step with it.
And Wayzata just looks out of sorts right now. This is what Hopkins does, though, to so many opponents. Whether it was Brian Cosgriff or Tara Starks, they are relentless when it comes to that pressure defense in hopes of wearing down the competition. Copeland, touch three. Yes!
Oh. Just like that, a one-possession game.
Wayzata having trouble against that Hopkins pressure. And Julie Stewart will get some of her starters back in there. Hopkins can tie it up with a three, as Alex alluded to a moment ago. This is a one-possession margin and a potential turning point in this game. 1:35 left in the first half. Jazzy Dupree with the 16-footer. Here come the Royals. Wayzata gets past the press this time. Weber. And another traveling call.
Wow. Julie Stewart employing her team to calm down.
And this is firing up the Hopkins bench. And they're doing this without McGill, Agara, or Woodson on the floor. But then Tatum Woodson runs into trouble. Still Wayzata ball. And now a tie-up. 57.3 seconds.
Well, I tell you what, the Royals have certainly turned up the intensity button in the last 5 minutes, and it's paid dividends for them.
In my case, it wasn't a matter of if but when. Hopkins, they don't face adversity often, but they have a tough shell too. They don't fold up easily. Otherwise, they wouldn't have won about 8,000 state tournament titles. Not that many, but they added another one to a lengthy list in 2022, and they hope to do so again in 23. Wayzata cleans up the mess. Shannon Fornshell, the Drake commit, gets on the board.
Well, that's one of those few second chance points for Wayzata.
About a 13.5-second difference, shot clock to game clock. Woodson was cut off. And Wayzata can hold for the last shot. Wayzata gets past the press. Fornshell is open for the layup.
If you got it, take it.
That is one danger of the full court press. If the opponent breaks it, you get a point-blank look. But Hopkins can get one back here before the half ends. Boyle finds Dupree. 3 seconds. Tatum Woodson. Baseline. Draws the foul.
0.5 of a second.
And that's the second on Fornshell. Alex, what a game we have seen What a first half. The game's only half over, but
well, and you know,
both teams came to play.
Just the swings and momentum just in the last, I see, 7 minutes alone.
Wayzata set the tone with a 12-2 run to start, but then Hopkins found a few opportunities to work their way back. And that ends the first half. Tatum Woodson splits at the line, 26-22. Wayzata over Hopkins. There's a reason this rivalry is one of the most anticipated on the calendar, and the first 18 minutes showed us why.
Well, yeah, we're seeing why. Yeah, I tell you, I was so impressed with Wayzata and their determination and their hustle that they showed in this first half, going after loose balls. You know, I mean, they were getting the job done on both ends of the floor. And then we saw Hopkins, you know, starting to apply that defensive pressure that gave them a lot of opportunities and allowed them to get back right back into this ball game, Mike.
But we still have a long way to go. Nobody's won it yet. Stick around to find out who will take the first victory in this series. You're watching high school girls basketball. Wayzata leads Hopkins 26-22. Twin Cities Sports Broadcasting and a whole lot more. That's what you get from TSB Television. We provide long-lasting digital coverage of your favorite athletes from the preps to the pros. Dazzling moves. Holloman, good if it goes. Yes! Game winners. James, she's in trouble. Finds James, toss shot, it goes in! And everything in between. Before we let you go, do you want to say hi to anybody?
Oh, I don't know. That put me on the spot there.
If you want to connect with our audience, visit us at patreon.com/TSB Television or sponsor our coverage through PayPal and Cash App. Thank you for watching. 18 minutes remain in this late conference duel, Hopkins and Wayzata. Mike Peden and Alex Nagel with you. And the story was that 12-2 run by the Trojans to open the first half. They lead 26-22. Sophie Hawkinson leads the Trojans with 9 points. Nunu Agara overcame a slow start. She has 8 points. But Alex, we know this. Hopkins, a lot of teams have hung with them over the years. They go on that killer run. Wayzata will have to avoid that if they want to score an upset win.
They're going to have to come out with the same intensity that they did from the tip-off, Mike. And I thought, you know, again, with the Trojans in that first half, they did a lot of things right. You know, they were making good cuts to the basket. They were going after loose balls, all those little things that got them in the right spots at the right time. They're going to have to find ways to keep doing those things in the second half, because you know that Tara Starks talked to her Hopkins team during the halftime break and implored them to bring the energy here in the second half.
The first of 2 meetings, and in all likelihood, the first of 3 when you factor in postseason play. Here's Woodson. Comes up long, offensive rebound to Kelly Boyle, and remember, at the high school level, the shot clock resets to the full 35. Nunu Agara gets her own miss. 2 looks from short range, Alex, and she comes up empty. And Agara, she's the one player to go for 30 this season for the Royals. Wayzata, oh, they had an opening for a minute. They have a 3. Hawkinson can't knock it down. Krasinski, for a moment, had a look down low, but I don't think she recognized that. Woodson tried to go coast to coast. Ball was poked loose.
And with Wayzata, again, with numbers.
The kick out. Senden fakes the 3. Goes around. Can't hit the reverse. This is bizarre.
Well, a couple of early missed opportunities for the Trojans for sure, Mike.
This is really bizarre. Everyone having a hard time finishing down low. And now Fornshell missing. Here's Boyle. Finds McGill for 3. Bullseye. Big crowd on hand for this one. Wayzata going outlet. Nunu Agara says, I don't think so. Alex, you talked about that game 5 years ago, or the time Wayzata beat Hopkins. I was catching up with some of the parents, including the Greenways, who have a lot of AAU and Wayzata ties.
Yeah.
And they brought up the time. Hold on, we've got some chaos, and Brynn Senden able to fire the three, no good. But she remembered the time, Jenny Greenway did, when we had the sellout. Kelly Boyle's step back three is blocked. It will stay with Hopkins. It was 3 years ago, before you-know-what shut everything down.
Yeah.
But the Lake Conference had double headers in that season, and the Hopkins-Wayzata girls game was sold out.
Oh, it was standing room only. I was here, I know.
I think CCX covered that one. But that was the case that year, and it was really cool. Here's McGill, who wants to cool things down for Wayzata, but her three is offline. Wayzata going outlet. Senden goes cross court to Kate Amelot. Amelot doubled, and a foul by McGill. That's just the second on McGill.
Boy, McGill almost had that.
Instead, Kate Amelot slices through the lane for two. McGill looking for the answer. Yes. Wayzata had numbers, but Taylor Woodson corrals the pass for the steal. And one.
Wow. And the Royals with their first lead tonight.
Remember, Alex, this Hopkins team, one reason they are able to win as convincingly as they do, you can hang with them for a while, but at some point they almost always go on that killer run that demoralizes opponents. Roseville hung with Hopkins in the first half of that game until the Royals pulled away in the second half to win in a runaway. And now that Hopkins has moved in front, how will that affect the psyche? We shall see. Taylor Woodson, the Michigan commit, completes the three-point play. And now, Hopkins leads 30-28. McGill forcing another turnover. Alex, she doesn't shy away from what some might call a high-risk, high-reward defensive approach. But she has that quickness, moves like a viper, and I can understand why she makes the moves she does. Agara missed the jumper, and that will be a dead ball rebound for the Trojans.
Well, the door is still open for Wayzata, but they've got to take advantage of these situations, these opportunities that they're getting, Mike.
Oh, there's still a lot of time left. Nobody's won this yet. Senden for three. Yes!
That's a big three. Big three by Senden. They needed that.
Copeland. Boyle, look out. Agara swoops in again for another offensive rebound and put back. Wayzata 2-on-1, too strong. Pump fake, Fornshell draws a foul on Taylor Woodson.
And I think that's going to be number 3 on Taylor Woodson, if I'm not mistaken.
And free throws coming for number 4. They call it on Copeland? Didn't look like Copeland.
Oh, maybe it was. I thought it was on Taylor Woodson.
I thought so too. Fornshell at the free throw line, enjoys traveling, also participates in the Yes and Girls United clubs at Wayzata. She will head to Drake University down in Alex's home state of Iowa. And also Iowa, the future birthplace of James T. Kirk. Most of these kids probably won't get that reference, but some of you might.
Took an extra
Hopkins
step with it.
with the ball handling error there, and this back and forth duel continues. .25 to go, and Alex, I think as this game plays out, this is the kind of game that will benefit both teams.
Well, that was a dangerous pass.
And a traveling call on Fornshell. And both sides at times have been jittery, and for Hopkins, well, this will benefit them. They are not used to close games like this or playing from behind, and if nothing else, it's a reminder that if they don't perform, that they are vulnerable. Nobody is invincible. Woodson on the take. No good. Senden again. Agara tips the rebound. That 6'1" frame and that long wingspan, valuable attributes in the paint, and Taylor Woodson is fouled. Woodson going to Michigan. And Krzyzewski picks up her second personal.
It's a big pickup for the Wolverines, that's for sure.
And joining her in a couple of years will be Olivia Olson.
And I probably jinxed her by saying that.
I don't think you jinxed her there. For starters, we didn't bring up free throw shooting, and I don't think the players are worried about what we're saying in the moment.
Anyway, the back end forges a tie here at the 12:39 mark.
Taylor Woodson splits at the line. Alex, I'm sure as a tennis player you had your share of bloopers where you have a drop shot and it doesn't go the way you thought it would. Oberlander leans in. Had a tough angle though. McGill hands it off to Taylor Woodson, who will shoot two more. Taylor Woodson, 6 feet, considered a wing, and lanky, quick. I can't wait to see what she does. Right, I can't wait to see what she does in Michigan.
Oh.
And then you think about Olivia Olson, a player of a similar build, following her. And look at what Michigan has done over the last few years. A few substitutions taking place. It's not uncommon for Hopkins to have a few D1 commits on their roster, usually more than one. It began long before Paige Beckers, and it will continue long after Taylor and Nunu Agara graduate, if my estimation is proven to be correct. Hopkins with the 1-point lead. Ooh, that's a foul on Taylor Woodson.
That is going to be number 3 on Taylor Woodson, I believe.
I believe so. That is her third. Okay, so I wasn't sure with that play a few moments ago. And she'll head to the bench. Alex, this game is testing everyone's mettle. Taylor Woodson hasn't had an easy time. Agara's up to 10, but she had to work for it early, and Wayzata, it hasn't come easy for them either. Here's a three.
Got it.
Bullseye.
It'll look good nature.
That's her first field goal. And Julie Stewart talked about the balanced attack, the depth that Wayzata boasts. You can't key in on just one player and expect to succeed. Tatum Woodson lost the ball in the drive. We have a tie-up.
After she lost that ball, it seemed to hang out there for an eternity.
It felt that way from up here. Wayzata with the arrow, so they do force the stop. They hold a 2-point lead, 36-34, with 11 minutes and 20 seconds left. Wayzata trouble. Senden recovers. Throws up a runner. That was tough with Copeland on her. Tatum Woodson steps into the 15-footer and knocks it down. We are tied. Amelot grabbed by the arm.
I think it's on Boyle.
It is, just her first, but another example of how physical, how gritty this game is.
Yeah.
Both sides doing a good job at preventing the other from getting into their schemes, at least as smoothly as they would like. That ball went off the foot of Dupree. I'm laughing not because I am saying, oh, ha ha. I'm laughing because that reaction went about as you expected.
Yeah.
Depending on which shade of blue you're rooting for.
Right.
It's our ball. No, it's our ball. All I can say is it wasn't my ball. I can't play that, though. So
At the end of the day, it's a break for Wayzata and another opportunity here.
Brynn Senden on the take. Copeland has denied her a couple of times now. Taylor Woodson on the other end. Another three-point play chance. That's the third on Fornshell, and another momentum-turning play perhaps for the Royals as Taylor Woodson goes back to the line. Taylor was off to a terrific start, comes up short there. Had 28 points in that win over Bishop Garrigan before spraining her ankle on a drive. Averaging 19. High-low. Oh, boy.
Got a little too far under the basket that time.
Yeah, I don't know about that high-low. Fornshell a little too far underneath. And a double dribble on Copeland. This game of swings continues. If you're wondering, the two sides meet again February 10th. Something tells me we'll see a similar crowd at that game. Pass broken up. Wayzata recovers. Hopkins touched it, so no backcourt violation. And Irma Walker hacks Sophie Hawkinson. That will send the sophomore to the line. Hawkinson averaging 10.6 points per game.
Well, Sophie Hawkinson challenging the 8th grader Walker on that.
Hawkinson, her nickname is Buttons, stemming from a post-game meetup with her team at Applebee's. also plays varsity soccer for the Trojans and said she would try out for track this spring. It worked out well for Mara Braun. She was a track and basketball athlete at Wayzata. Hawkinson makes both free throws. Wayzata 5 of 6 at the line. Hopkins 10 of 14. We're tied at 38. 9:30 to go. McGill to Walker for 2. Wayzata too strong on the attack. McGill puts on the accelerator and is called for the offensive foul.
Tara Stark's not happy with that one.
That's her third, and it goes back to a similar situation early in the first half.
Yep.
It sometimes comes down to how much contact you issue on your defender.
And that's 3 on McGill now.
And I'm not saying that to suggest that that was a valid foul call or not, but with those judgment calls, it's a matter of logistics, semantics, all of that, and that will be a walk.
A lot of traveling calls tonight.
I really think these two are a little more jittery than usual. Both sides have brought their best, and I think it's leading some of these players to flinch. Hopkins and Wayzata, as Julie Stewart calls a timeout. Wayzata 12-1, Hopkins 12-0. Wayzata and Hopkins both have a litany of runaway wins. Wayzata's lone loss came against Chaska, and they had a close one with Maple Grove to start the season. But Alex, you mentioned all the traveling calls. I think when you have two teams that aren't used to being in close affairs, at least often, you get a little jumpy.
Yeah, I'm sure that aspect certainly plays into it, Mike. I wouldn't doubt that for a second.
8:55. Well, it hasn't dampened the spirits of the Hopkins pep band. Hawkinson with 11 points to lead the Trojans. And Alex, the big three for Hopkins. Agara has 10, McGill has 9, Taylor Woodson has 9. It doesn't feel like that, though. They've had to work for just about every point.
Yeah.
Now, with that offensive foul on Liv McGill, the Royals are out of fouls to give. That could be important in the final 8 minutes and 55 seconds.
And again, we've seen the ability of the Trojans to attack the rim, certainly in that first half, and I think that's one strategy that they're going to have to go back to now. And you got a ton of time left, too, and you're only down 2.
Oh, there's still an eternity. Like I said, nobody's won this yet. I've been saying that a lot, but we're still in that phase of the game where nobody's won it. And just think, you could get 2 more meetings out of this. Woodson, she's doubled. Taylor pulls up. Off the back iron, Jazzy Dupree had it initially. Wayzata is able to force the tie-up. Hopkins with the arrow, though. So they'll hang on to it with 8:22 left. McGill pulls up, and she's hacked. Hopkins, their ability to get to the line certainly helping them in this one. Liv McGill has not made any plans on colleges yet. when I talked to her before the game, she said, I'm going to wait till after the season and then focus on where I'll play. She doesn't want that to be a distraction, but rest assured her mailbox has been flooded frequently with offers. I'm not smart enough to guess which ones, but Liv McGill, she's got a bright future ahead of her. Unfortunately, she blinks at the line. A break for the Trojans as we are still at a 2-point margin. And an offensive foul on Wayzata. And now they're out of fouls to give. That's the third on Krasinski.
Julie Stewart expressing her displeasure with that call.
Fornshell breaking up the entry pass for Agara. It will stay Hopkins' ball, 7:50 to go. Over the last several years, this rivalry producing great moments. From the sellout crowd of 3 years ago, Wayzata's upset back in the 2017-18 season. Here's Agara who pulls up. Can't get the jumper to fall. Krasinski with the rebound. Kick out. Hawkinson swings it back around. Looking for help here. Now Senden with the fake. The skip to Amelot. That's Fornshell, I should say. The three just short. McGill. That's a jump ball. That's a tie-up. Wayzata with the arrow. Brynn Senden getting in there to snatch the ball away, or at least disrupt McGill's attack. This is a great game. Maybe not the prettiest game, but it's certainly putting the tenacity of both teams to the test. Kate Amelot left the runner short. McGill speeds ahead for the fast break score. Hopkins with their largest lead of the game. Three from the corner, no good.
The difference I'm noticing right now, Mike, with Wayzata, it's a one and done deal on the offensive end. Yep.
Late foul.
Called late, but it was a foul.
And that will mean free throws for Wayzata. It's 1-1. And that's the third on Copeland. Wayzata coming off that big win over St. Michael Albertville. And when I talked to Julie Stewart about that victory and what worked for them, she said it was focus. This Wayzata team doesn't get rattled easily. And Wayzata and St. Michael Albertville have been in some tight ones since STMA joined the conference. Amelot makes both free throws. She'll take a breather. 42-40. Wayzata 7 of 8 from the free throw line now. Woodson lost the handle. We'll have another tie up here. Now we're seeing Wayzata getting more aggressive on defense, trying to get those reach-ins, those post strips. Hopkins is known for that, but Wayzata, I feel like it's the basketball equivalent of James Holzhauer and that high roller Jeopardy run of his. Taking the high-risk, high-reward plays. And an offensive foul.
I didn't see what happened there.
I didn't either. It was on Agara, but she was away from the ball. And
only her first.
Right, but that cost Hopkins with the turnover. It must have happened away from the ball because neither of us saw it.
And it inches the Trojans closer and closer to that double bonus. Julie Stewart
calls a timeout
smart
as the
timeout
Trojans
there,
were in a bit of trouble. I think you and I were on the same wavelength there.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, Mike, what an early week treat we're getting here tonight.
And it's already been an eventful week. Remember, yesterday was Martin Luther King Day, which is a full day of basketball on the calendar.
I understand Eden Prairie had a good outing yesterday.
They did. They took care of Mahtomedi. Chaska dispatched Champlain Park with ease. Providence Academy handled St. Croix Lutheran well. But I'd say the breakout performance was Duluth Marshall. They pulled away late against Holy Family Catholic. Chloe Johnson, the 7th grader, 18 points. If you haven't had a chance to see her yet, whether you live in the Metro or in Duluth, go check her out. I have never seen a 7th grader that polished in my life. And I said that about Addie Mack a few years ago, but Chloe, we were all impressed. That kid has a bright future. But you're right. This is a fun battle. A great chess match that should prepare both teams for subsequent meetings again. In all likelihood, they're going to meet 3 times, as they have for years. Ten on the shot clock. Now 5. Amelai. Turnaround.
Boy.
Looked a little off there. Wayzata has 2 timeouts remaining. Hopkins still has all 5. Boyle. A big 3-pointer for the senior. She was an afterthought most of this game. Didn't have a whole lot of touches.
Well, that was a big 3 right there.
Largest lead of the game for the Royals. Wayzata
Nice
goes high-low to
response by the Trojans
Fornshell.
there.
And remember, with the shot clock, this game far from over. Fornshell with 8. Dupree. McGill. No good, but got her own rebound, and she will go to the line for a 1-and-1. Liv, much like the rest of the Hopkins team, ferocious on the court, but humble away from it. Always says hello when she and I cross paths. Had a chance to catch up with her old buddy Adalia McKenzie on Sunday when Illinois paid a visit. And of course her other comrade, Amaya Battle, plays for Minnesota.
Yep.
And Liv speaks highly of both of them and what they did to help her development as a player. McGill splits at the line, but it is a 2-possession game again. Krasinski with Woodson. That is not an easy shot to pull off. Krasinski flips it in. McGill. Not that time. Agara almost had the rebound, but it was tipped away.
Oh, boy, that was going back.
Amelot. That is baffling. I am speechless, Alex. I have never seen that.
That was just some indecision.
I have never seen a player zigzag across the timeline like that. That was really weird.
She was, you knew that was going to end badly, and it did.
And then Agara travels, so no harm, no foul. It's that kind of game. Like you were saying, Alex, I think we're seeing more unforced errors than we normally would out of these two. But when you have so many blowout wins, you're going to look pretty smooth. Abby Krasinski looked pretty smooth on the attack, and we're tied again.
What a game, Mike. Couldn't ask for a better situation, better setting than this right here.
Agara got bumped. We play on.
And here come the Trojans.
And then they throw it away. Boyle, the runner. A little out of control, perhaps. Everyone on pins and needles in anticipation. Pass a little offline. And that might have been because Krasinski was fouled. That's a big one because 1-1.
Yep.
It's just the second foul on Boyle, but free throws, they're going to matter here.
Mid-January, this almost feels like a section title game, doesn't
it?
Like
the first weekend in March, doesn't it?
Yeah, no kidding.
Remember, the high seed hosts. Wayzata does take the lead. It is a split for Krasinski. Woodson, underneath, no good. Agara will shoot two.
Well, and again, those second chance points.
The third on Oberlander. Agara headed to Stanford. She's a Nigerian-American athlete and hopes to etch her name alongside the Ogwumakes. We have a timeout. The first one for the Royals.
I think we needed it more than they did.
Hopkins with a 1-point lead, 2:19 to go, 48-47.
Well, here you are. If you're Wayzata, you're just one foul away from getting into the double bonus. So I think if you're Wayzata, you want to make your first priority driving to the rim, trying to draw the foul. That's going to be your highest percentage right there. Unless you get an open look from behind the arc. Because I tell you right now, Hopkins is really narrowing those passing lanes for the Trojans.
Let's reset this game for you. 48-47. Wayzata has the possession arrow. Both teams in the bonus. Hopkins with 9 fouls, so the next one puts Wayzata in the double bonus. Wayzata has 8. Hopkins with 4 timeouts, Wayzata with 2. For Hopkins, they're looking to preserve a win streak going back to the middle of last season. Their one loss came against Sidwell Friends, one of the top teams in the country, part of that ESPN Showcase event held here at the Royals Athletic Center. Wayzata had that loss to Chaska, and at the time, you're thinking maybe the Trojans. Here comes the Hopkins pressure, and Julie Stewart will call a timeout, 2:16 left.
Wayzata now, I believe, with just 1 timeout left, if I'm not mistaken here, Mike. 2:16 left. You don't want to burn all your matches right here, but obviously that was a situation where head coach Julie Stewart had little choice.
Alex, as the two sides continue their deliberations. That's a notable timeout. Wayzata only has one
Well,
left.
that's what I was just alluding to. I was just going to say, if you're Julie Stewart, now you've left yourself with one timeout. You don't want to burn all your matches with 2:16 left. And you know that the Royals are going to be pressing.
I was not anticipating a lower score like this one, but again, I think both sides have forced the other into some uncomfortable positions. Here comes the Hopkins pressure. Token pressure this time. Krasinski lost the dribble. Agara to McGill. It's Agara again. Hopkins ball. Oh my. A foul
What happened
before
there?
the inbound. Krasinski and Woodson got tangled up, and Taylor Woodson will go to the line. That's the fourth on Krasinski. 2 minutes to go. Everyone's medal. Patience, determination, you name it. Resolve. Under duress, Wayzata.
Again, a situation, that ball was just hanging out there for an eternity.
Well, Wayzata boxed out, but they almost boxed out too well there. They left a lot of open space. They do have the possession there on force the tie-up, but
So the Trojans,
Trojans
will try it again here.
Another footnote in this intense game. It's like watching a Ryan Johnson movie. Whatever you expect will happen, the opposite does. Hawkinson lost control of it. That may have affected her cadence on the slash. Hopkins with a chance to extend their lead. McGill put a move and scores again. Taylor Woodson, count it!
Wow.
Wayzata will use her last timeout. Alex, we normally talk about the killer runs that Hopkins constructs in games. This may not be a gigantic run compared to their usual standards, but we may have seen a killer sequence there. McGill with the layup, Woodson with the steal, and a chance to make it a 6-point lead.
Well, again, that pressure defense, and then the double whammy with the length that they have, I tell you, it works out awfully well for them.
1:17 to go, and Hopkins, they can't exhale just yet with the shot clock in play, but they can give themselves some breathing room. How about Taylor Woodson? Liv McGill making a big difference too. These Hopkins teams, at least this year, I mentioned that it's almost a transitional year because next year you're going to have a lot of the younger players that have worked under the tutelage of Tara Starks. Woodson, McGill, well, McGill not really, but Woodson and Agara were carryovers. But again, Tara Starks, a lot of ties to this program. And even though they may not get the headlines and crowds that Paige Beckers did, the resolve is still there.
Yeah.
They're setting a standard. I know I'm curious and excited to see what a lot of these younger Hopkins players will do when it's their turn.
Yep.
But Taylor Woodson, she and Agara, they've been on varsity since 9th grade. and emblematic of what Hopkins is all about. Fight for the rebound, and a foul. Wayzata, by the way, out of timeouts.
Well, now facing a 5-point deficit here with 1:13 left, it obviously changes your strategy. Now before you wanted to attack the rim, and you can still do that. Now you're going to have to start thinking in terms of the three-point shot too.
Perhaps, but Wayzata can score here with the clock stopped. They're in the double bonus. Brynn Senden to the line. And with the shot clock, Hopkins cannot just sit back.
Right.
They have to play at least one possession and make it a good one. Senden splits at the line, so it's still a two-possession game. And that complicates things for the Trojans. That's a foul. Senden going for that high-risk play and knocked McGill off balance there. Liv McGill walking it off. She might have hit her knees or some part of her lower body on the hardwood, and if it's around that shin area, that can sting for a minute.
Yeah.
So McGill to the line for two. Hopkins in the double bonus.
Ooh, missed the first one.
Hopkins, not their best night at the free throw line. They've missed a few. And both teams trade splits, so it's a 5-point game again. Wayzata, they got to score quickly.
We got numbers.
And they do. Kurzinski with the speedy layup. One possession game. Wayzata can play straight up defense. They do not have to foul. 13-second difference, shot clock to game clock. Hopkins can seal the win here if they score. Woodson.
Boy.
Lost it.
Lost it. Wow.
But it's still Hopkins' ball.
I tell you, Boyle was
Wayzata
hanging out there in the right corner all by herself.
I don't think Woodson saw her. Hopkins will call a timeout. They had 4 remaining. They'll have 11 seconds on the shot clock. Now Hopkins does hold the possession arrow if we have a tie-up. Over the summer, there was a shot clock exhibition hosted by Breakdown, and I talked to a few coaches about what the arrival of a shot clock would do for the sport. Here's the example, end of game situations. In the past, Hopkins could lay back, wait for the foul, and try to seal it at the free throw line.
Yeah.
They have to find a good play here with 11 seconds. They didn't spot Boyle that last time, but 11 seconds is plenty of time for a quick set. And I'd ask you, who do you go to in this situation? But in the case of Hopkins, you have a lot of choices available. And any one of them. Kelly Boyle had that 27-point game against Roseville. Tatum Woodson, not as much experience, but a capable player. Agara, Woodson, and McGill, they've all been here before. Woodson, Agara, big offensive rebound, and now Hopkins. Wow, Agara utilizing her advantage, and Wayzata, I noticed, didn't have Oberlander out there.
Nunu Agara, she's just so hard to keep off the boards.
Agara, emblematic of the stretch four. Kelly Boyle can win it here. Three for Wayzata, no good. And the win streak for Hopkins will live to see another day as they prepare for Minnetonka on Friday.
Well, I tell you what, all I can say is that the return matchup at Wayzata on February 10th should be quite entertaining too, don't you think?
I would agree. Hawkins had a little more in the tank, and I think it goes back to that hustle, that tenacity.
Yeah.
Agara with the O-board, and that key sequence
Yep.
when Agara scored, or McGill scored, I should say, and then Taylor Woodson got the steal and the bucket. So Hopkins will go to 13-0. Wayzata hung with them, but Hopkins came through in the clutch in the second half. Foul's on McGill, but it's inconsequential here. 5.9, not enough time for Wayzata. Wayzata had their chances. And again, when you look back at this game, this will be a valuable two for both sides. Hopkins getting their first taste of playing through adversity. The athletes are used to it in both club and high school, but it's a reminder that no one's invincible, and for Wayzata, they'll use it as a building block as well. That's it, that's all. Hopkins emerges for a 57-50 win.
I tell you what, we got a treat here tonight, Mike, and that was just a fabulous ball game by both teams. Just some clutch plays at the end by Hopkins was the difference maker.
Liv McGill, a big reason for that, 13 second half points. Hopkins had to overcome a slow start, but they pull it off, and an instant classic, 57-50. What an opener in this conference rivalry.
Yeah, I tell you what, that was fun. Can't wait for the return date at Wayzata.
I think a few folks will be tuning in for that one. Thanks for watching high school girls basketball. Hopkins beats Wayzata 57-50 to stay undefeated at 13-0. Joining me is Liv McGill of Hopkins. Liv, 17 points, 13 of them in the second half. This one was a tight battle all the way through. It's not something Hopkins is accustomed to with all these runaway wins. How did you grit your way for a big late conference win tonight?
I feel like at halftime we just came together as a team, and I don't think we were down the whole first half, I believe, and we just knew we could not lose at home, so we came together as a team and we just fought the whole rest of the second half.
You were down 12-2 early on. What do you think happened, and what do you think helped you recover and get a gritty win here?
Yeah, definitely defense. We're a defensive team. Defensive stops helps our momentum to score, and so once we really nailed down and focused on defense, I feel like that's when we got our momentum. That's when we got our easy buckets, easy in transition buckets, not forced.
And you were part of the key sequence that I think defined the game. You score a layup late, and then Taylor Woodson follows up with a steal and score of her own. That put Hopkins in front, gave them enough cushion. How big was that series?
Yeah, that was really big for us. Like I said, defense first and just finishing easy baskets. We know the rest were calling it tight, so just attacking easy lanes when I have it, and then Taylor with the defensive steal, finish with the layup. That helped us get the lead.
A little bit of that Taurasi magic, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
What do you think is different between last year and this year, and how do you think that has helped you grow? Because last year, that starting 5 all D1 caliber athletes, and this year you have plenty of talent, but the lineup looks a little different, so you have to retool accordingly. How do you think that has helped you grow and evolve when you have white-knuckle situations like tonight?
Yeah, we definitely have a different team, but I feel like we have the same goal, so we still have that same hunger. Everybody came to fight, and we might be smaller. People might think we're less talented, but, I feel like Hopkins is always the underdog. So every time we step on the court, there's always something everybody has to say. So we just come to fight, and I feel like we showed that today.
Well, I have something to say, and if people think you lack talent, then I think they need to rethink their priors. You have no shortage of it, in my opinion.
I don't even know what to say to that.
I'm just saying, if people think you're under-talented, then it's like they need to see you a couple more times.
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun tonight, and you have plenty of talent. Before we go, Liv, you want to say hi to anybody?
I know she's not watching this, but I want to say hi to my niece, Baby Rain. I love you. And, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Well, she might watch over time.
Yeah.
Maybe Adalia will watch this, too.
Oh, yeah, shout out Dow and Amaya Battle. Yeah.
She paid a visit to both on Sunday's Gophers-Illinois game, and I wouldn't be surprised if one of them tries to get you onto their teams, but no, Liv, you have plenty of talent. Your team has plenty of talent. This was a lot of fun. Thanks for stopping by. Congrats on the win, and rest up before your big game Friday.
Thank you. I'll see you guys Friday.
Friday they play Minnetonka. That'll be a big game as well. And that does it from the Royals Athletic Center. For the rest of our crew, I'm Mike Peden. Thanks for watching.